गोपीजनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारि यमुनतीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारि यमुनतीरावनचारि हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा गिरिधारी राधा गिरिधारी राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय गिरि गोवर्धन गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गौरनिताई गौरनिताई जय गौरनिताई जय 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 प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव जय श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय We'll go to Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. Anyone would like to read Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita? We are reading from chapter 30, London, a Dream Fulfilled.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I read?
Yes, please. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. London, a dream fulfilled. The Hare Krishna mantra record was still high on the charts in England and throughout the continent, and this fame led a Dutch television company to invite Prabhupada's disciples to Amsterdam, all expenses paid, to do a show. They would have only 5 minutes of airtime, but Prabhupada accepted it. 5 minutes, he said, is sufficient. We will preach the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness in 5 minutes. Prabhupada and his party took the ferry from Dover across the English Channel to France and then traveled by train to Amsterdam. The television studio, located outside the city, was in a modern, air conditioned building with constant loudspeaker announcements, artificial plants, a TV in every room, but no windows. The receptionist brought Prabhupada and his disciples to a windowless room with painted concrete walls. In India, Prabhupada said, we wouldn't consider living in a place without windows and fresh air. I want to sit by a window. So the devotees checked through the entire building until finally, in the third floor hallway, they found a window. Moving their chairs with them, they went with Prabhupada and sat by the window. By the year 2000, no one will see the light of day, Prabhupada said. Cities will be forced to live underground. They will have artificial light and food, but no sunlight. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Now I will go on to Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiret Nashtaprayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, chapter entitled Lord Rishabdev's Teachings to His Sons, and this is text 29. So I'll try to read this verse because this verse is it is in a prose format. It doesn't have the consistent rhythm just like a normal verse, so I'll try and see if anyone would like to recite this later on. Jadanda muka badhira pishakon madakavad avadhuta vesho abhibhasya mano api jananam grihita mauna vratas tushnim babhuva. Jadananda muka badhira pishan konma da kavad avadhuta vesho abhibhasya mano api jananam grihita mauna vratastushnim babuva. Jadanda muka badhira pishakon mada kavad avadhuta vesho abhibhasya mano api jananam grihita mauna vratastushnim bhuva. Anyone would like to try?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I am trying.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Jaranda mukhobodir pishachonmadakavat avadhuta vesho abhibhashamanopi jananam grihita mauna vratas tushnim bahuva.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Bahuva. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, please.
Jarandha mukha bodhiro pishacho namad kabad avadhuta vesho abhibhashamana api jananam grihita mauna vratas tushnim babhuva.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else would like to try? Or shall we go to synonyms? Okay, we'll go to synonyms. Jada, idol.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna
Pranam,
Mataji. Danvat Pranam. Yeah, you can try, Mata. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll go to synonyms. Jada, idol. Andha, blind.
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Oh, Hare Krishna
Sorry.
Mataji. Yeah, I couldn't hear you. You want to try the verse, Mataji?
Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Jadananda mukha badhira pishakomadakvad avadhuta vesho abhibhashyamanopi jananam grihita mauna vritasatushnim babhuva. Thank you, Hare Krishna beta.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. So we go to synonyms. Jada, idol. Andha, blind. Muka, dumb. Badhira, deaf. Pisacha, ghost. Unma, daka, a madman. Vat, like. Avadhuta Vesha, appearing like an Avadhuta. having no concern with the material world. Abhibhasyamanaha, being thus addressed as deaf, dumb, and blind. Api, although. Jananam, by the people. Grihita, took. Mauna, of silence. Brata, the vow. Tushnim, ba bhuva, he remained silent. So translation, and prepared by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. After accepting the feature of Avaduta, a greatly saintly person without material cares, Lord Rishabdev passed through human society like a blind, deaf, and dumb man, an idle stone, a ghost, or a madman. Although people called him such names, he remained silent and did not speak to anyone. Anyone would like to read the puppet?
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I
Hare
read please?
Krishna. Yes, please, Mataji. Thank you.
The word avadhuta refers to one who does not care for social conventions, particularly the varnashrama dharma. However, such a person may be situated fully within himself and be satisfied with the supreme personality of Godhead, on whom he meditates. In other words, one who has surpassed the rules and regulations of varnashrama dharma is called avadhuta. Such a person has already surpassed the clutches of Maya, and he lives completely separate and independent. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Tebi Krishna Goswamini Namane. Jai Prabhupada Priyate Shuddhi Shuddhi Nishamam Tasvakyan Vadine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtata Dishatareni. I'd like to seek the blessings of all of you dear devotees who assembled here today. So please bless me so that I can kindly I can present Srila Prabhupada's teachings as it is. So, Vanchakalpatrubhescha Kripa Sindhu Bhavacha Patita Nama Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Nandakoti Vaishnavrinda ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. So, just a little bit of recap that Rishabh Dev, before taking this mood of an Avadhuta, he has handed over his kingdom to his very qualified son, King Bharat. So King Bharat is a pure devotee of the Lord, and who else can look after the citizens of the subjects properly unless and until one is a pure devotee of the Lord? Because a pure devotee of the Lord can give everyone that protection. So that is the reason why Bharat Maharaj is very, very qualified to take up the throne of Lord Rishabh Dev. So with responsibility, Lord Rishabh Dev has handed over the kingdom to his pure devotee son, Bharat Maharaj. So now he has taken sannyas.
Bye, beta.
He has taken sannyas, and we will look. Srila Prabhupada says in the beginning of the 5th canto that there are 4 progressive stages of sannyas. So the first stage is Kuti Chaka. According to Vedic system, when one accepts the renounce order, he stays outside his village in a cottage. And his necessities, especially his food, are supplied from home. So this is called the Kuti Chaka stage. The second stage is Bahudaka. When a sannyasi advances further, he no longer accepts anything from home. Instead, he collects his necessities, especially his food, from many places. This system is called Madhukari, which literally means the profession of the bumblebees. As bumblebees collect honey from many flowers, a little from each, so a sannyasi should beg from door to door, but not accept very much food from any particular house. He should collect a little bit from every house. So this stage is called Bahudaka stage. This is the second stage. And the third stage is Parivrajaka Charya. When a sannyasi is still more experienced, He travels all over the world to preach the glories of Lord Vasudev. He is then known as Parivrajakaacharya. And the highest stage is the Paramhamsa stage. The sannyasi reaches the Paramhamsa stage when he finishes his preaching work and sits down in one place strictly for the sake of advancing in spiritual life. An actual Paramahamsa is one who completely controls his senses and engages in the unalloyed service of the Lord. In this Paramahamsa stage, the devotees adopt the mood of an Avadhuta. So, we see here that Lord Rishabdev has adopted this mood of an Avadhuta. So, Avadhuta is a Paramhamsa stage, that is the highest stage of sannyas. And we'll see some quotes about what Srila Prabhupada has said as who is an Avaduta. So Avaduta is a mendicant. Here Yamuna is asking, what is an Avadut? Prabhupada is saying, Avaduta Paramhamsa. Paramhamsa stage, the highest stage of perfection. They are not under any rules and regulations. Paramhamsa. Yamuna, how does such a person engage? Prabhupada, that's a long history. You'll find in Bhagavad Gita, pragya, no, pragyasya. So that means that one who is transcendently situated. Stita pragya, and that means someone who is fixed in Krishna consciousness. This is mentioned in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. So there are many symptoms. On the whole, Avadhuta or Paramhamsa is not subjected to any rules and regulation. They are so elevated that is not to be imitated. So we have to understand this Avadhuta stage is not to be imitated. That is a position, a position very exalted, perfectional stage, spiritual advancement. So if you want to know the symptoms, that is in the Bhagavad Gita. There is a list. So here Prabhupada is talking about, there is a list in chapter 12 that a pure devotee of the Lord is not disturbed by any fame, infamy, or any honor, dishonor. So there is a list. But one thing you can simply know, a Paramhamsa is a stage who is above all rules and regulations. So this is from Srila Prabhupada lecture, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, 1.34 to 39. More quotes. He said that the word Avaduta means most free. A person is not under rules and regulations of any injunction when he has attained the stage of Avaduta. In other words, he can act as he likes. This Avaduta stage is exactly like air, which does not care for any obstruction. And this is from Srimad Bhagavatam 4.9.11. Another where he says that Avaduta Vesh means he is no more within the social community. Just like the word Nirgrantha, Kurvanti Ahitukim Bhakti Itham Bhuta Guna Hari. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7.10. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained this word Nirgrantha. Nirgrantha means one who has no granthi, no tight knot with this material world. He has no connection with his body. This is Avadhuta Vesh. When one no more he has got any connection with this material body, he is Avadhuta Vesha. Srila Prabhupada lecture from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5. Same verse. Vrindavan, November 16, 1976. Avadhuta is not a position but a qualification, and it cannot be manufactured or imitated. This is by His Holiness Bhakti Dhir Damodar Swami. He mentioned in his lecture that Avadhuta is not a position but a qualification. And as mentioned in the purport, that they do not care for social conventions, particularly Varna Ashram Dharma. So why in the first place we have to follow Varna Ashram Dharma? So the purpose of Varna Ashram Dharma is to gradually educate people to be elevated to spiritual platform for understanding Krishna consciousness. This is what Srila Prabhupada is saying in one of his lecture. So that is a gradual process, and that is mostly for the conditioned souls like us, not for liberated souls. And the purpose of Varna Ashram is to help people become Krishna conscious. That is the success. For Avadhuta is already successful. He is already at that perfected stage. He's already at that elevated stage. So there is no need for him to follow this system of Varna Ashram. By following one's qualities and prescribed duties, every man can become perfect. So this is the aim and this is the purpose of the Varna Ashram Dharma. That why we follow, because we have to follow by following one's guna and by following one's karma, then slowly we can become uh, perfect in our Krishna consciousness. But for an avadhuta, he is already perfect. He's already at the liberated stage. And this Varnashram system is for the conditions also. There is no need for an avadhuta to follow these rules and regulations of Varna Ashram. So it is like saying a person who has who is a university graduate, so there is no need for him to go through the primary education because he has already achieved that qualification. So other qualifications of an avadhuta, as mentioned in the purport, is that he has surpassed the rules and regulations of varnashram dharma. And because he has surpassed the rules and regulations of varnashram dharma, that is the reason why he has surpassed the clutches of Maya. Because he is fully absorbed in Krishna. He is in the liberated stage. And his activities are outside the material world, which is completely separate and independent. He does not look anything outside himself. Everything is within himself. And they are fully satisfied in themselves, as mentioned in the purport, and they are very spiritually advanced personalities. So going back to the translation, there are symptoms of Lord Rishabdev as an avadhuta. So what are his symptoms? So we'll see that. So Lord Rishabdev has voluntarily, deliberately adopted this mood of an avadhuta. So he has become blind. Why he has become blind? Because he doesn't want to see the beauty of this material world. He's become deaf. Why he has become deaf? Because he doesn't want to hear anything of this material world. He has become dumb. Why he has become dumb? He doesn't want to speak anything about this material world, and he has took a vow of silence. He has become an idle stone. Why an idle stone? Because he doesn't want to respond to people who addressed him. There is no interaction with anyone. He is not even defending himself when he is being ill-treated. And why he has become a ghost or a madman? Because people would stay away from him. And some people, they would be fearful to approach him. So that is why they do that. And the reason is because they don't want any disturbance in their full absorption of Krishna. And we see in our scriptures, there are great examples of avadhuta, and the most famous example is Lord Nityananda. He is a famous avadhuta, and he is also addressed as Avadhuta Gosani or Avadhuta Chandra. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Antilila, it is mentioned 8.3. This verse is glorifying Lord Nityananda. Jai Jai Avadhuta Chandra Nityananda, Jagat Bandhila Yenha Diya Prema Fanda. Translation. All glories to Nityananda Prabhu, the greatest of mendicants, who bound the entire world with a knot of ecstatic love for God. His name is Nityananda because he's eternally in bliss. So there is a pastime in Nityananda Charitamrita in Madhya Khanda, chapter 7 by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, that Lord Nityananda, he was always merged in an ocean of transcendental love of Krishna. He constantly behaved like an ordinary child. One day, by providence, Nityananda arrived where Vishambara was sitting. He was naked and smiling. Tears of love were constantly flowing from his eyes. He repeatedly shouted, Nimai Pandit of Nadia is my life and soul. Seeing Nityananda's enchanting, radiant, naked form, Sri Gauranga began to smile. He quickly took off his cloth tied to his head and he put around Lord Nityananda. So Lord Nityananda was always merged in an ocean of transcendental love. And similarly, Sukadev Goswami. So Sukadev Goswami here, Srila Prabhupada mentions that at that moment there appeared a powerful son of Vyasadeva who traveled over the earth, disinterested and satisfied with himself. He did not manifest any symptoms of belonging to any social order or status of life. He was surrounded with women and children, and he dressed as if others had neglected him. Purport. As a young boy, Srila Prabhupada mentions that he was expected to be properly dressed, but he went about naked and was uninterested in social customs. He was neglected by the general populace, and inquisitive boys and women surrounded him as if he were a madman. So why is that these avadhutas they're not properly dressed? So what is the reason? Actually, Kapila Muni is explaining this part about the real identity of the avadhuta, the perfectly realized soul. He is saying because he has achieved his real identity, the perfectly realized soul has no conception of how the material body is moving or acting, just as an intoxicated person cannot understand whether or not he has clothing on his body. So this is from Canto 3.28.37. So this is the reason why it's just that they are not aware of the externals. They are so internally absorbed in their sadhana that they in the love of God that they are just not aware. And there's another pastime of Lord Nityananda, the Lord dressed in a special and very attractive way. That was a pleasurable sight. He wrapped many colored silk clothes around his head like a Maharaj, and on top of his turban were strand after strand of flower garlands. His chest was covered with innumerable glittering necklaces of gold, pearls, and many studded gems. From his ears gently dangled golden earrings set with shiny white pearls. Bejeweled armlet and bracelet graced his hands and arms. His whole body was covered with countless jewelry of priceless value. Different parts of his body were exquisitely decorated with designs of sandalwood paste. Often he acted like Bal Gopal Krishna as a small fat toddler of Vrindavan. So this is from Chaitanya Bhagavat Antilila chapter 5 by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. So here we see Lord Nityananda. He is a sannyasi. He's supposed to be a sannyasi. He's supposed to be a mendicant, but he has, dressed himself in a very opulent way because he's in a mood of a Bal Gopal. He's in a mood of a cowhead boy. So the cowhead boy, they are dressed very opulently, like Krishna and Balaram. They are the sons of the king of cowhead men, Nanda Maharaj, and they are very wealthy and opulent. So that's how they dress themselves. So he is in that mood. And sometimes people they get confused that is he a sannyasi? Is he a mendicant? Because of his dressing, because how he's dressed himself. So that's why people they become confused about his identity. And we see that other eternal associates of Lord Nityananda, they have adopted that mood. And one example is Abhiram Thakur. Abhiram Thakur, he had a whip, and the name of his whip was Jai Mangal. And whoever wants the blessings from Abhiram Thakur, he would whip that person. And by whipping, he would bless them with the love of Godhead. So if someone comes for his blessing, he'll whip, and that person will be in ecstatic love of Godhead. He'll start chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with so much love. So that is such are the pastimes of the Avadhutas. And here in this pastime, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually testing Srivas Thakur about the identity of Lord Nityananda. So while Nityananda Prabhu remained in Srivas Pandit's house, he manifested the mood of a young boy. He would not even eat by himself and had to be fed by Mother Malini, who felt like a mother to him. So this Malini is the wife of Srivas Pandit. One day, Lord Chaitanya began to discuss topics regarding Krishna consciousness with Srivas Pandit. Wanting to test Srivas, he asked, "Why do you keep and maintain this Avadhuta in your house? You don't even know anything about him, who who he is, where he comes from, or what is his family background is. I warn you that you are being too lenient and kind to him. If you want to maintain the good reputation of your family and society, then you should immediately turn this Avadhuta out of your house. So this is what Shivas Pandit says. Shivas Pandit smiled and said, "Oh Lord, it is not proper for you to test me in this way. I know that I know that Lord Nityananda is your expansion. You are the Supreme Lord, and there is no difference between yourself and Lord Nityananda. I am your servant, and anyone who serves you becomes my master. Even if Lord Nityananda were a meat eating drunkard, and due to my association with him, I lost my reputation, wealth, and everything, still, I tell you truly that I would never think of anything else other than serving his and your lotus feet." So, such is the strong faith of Srivas Pandit, that he truly understood the position of Lord Nityananda. And this pastime is from Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Lila, chapter 8. So there is another example of Avadut, and Srila Prabhupada has quote this, that yes, Paramhamsa and his Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Yes, Paramhamsa, they do not come in the society because the people may imitate and they fall down. Therefore, they are aloof, just like Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. He was aloof. He was a Bhajana Nandi. So this is what Prabhupada is saying about Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So Avadutas, they are Bhajana Nandis. They are not Ghoshta Nandis. So they don't preach unless there is a need, only then they preach. In the example of Jad Bharat and King Rahugana. So when there was a need, only then Jad Bharat spoke to King Rahugana. And similarly, there is another example in Canto 11 of an Avaduta Brahman. And King Yadu, he detects that this is a very exalted personality, and let me inquire about spiritual life from him. So then that Avaduta Brahmana, he enlightens him. So only when there is a need, only then they will preach, otherwise they will keep quiet. So Srila Babaji Maharaj's mood of renunciation here, going to talking about Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, his mood of renunciation was unparalleled. Sometimes he ate mud from the banks of Radhakund or the Yamuna. We can't imitate that. If we imitate, then we will get sick. He was completely detached. He would wash discarded cloth to cover his body. For his clothing, he used the discarded loin cloths from corpses left on the bank of the Ganges. He drank from a rejected clay pot. Parched rice mixed with Ganges water or simply some mud from Ganga's bank sustained his life. So we can't imagine doing that. But they are on a very high level, Paramhamsa level. He slept beneath a tree. He would lie prostrate, offering his humble obeisances to the residents of Vraj, considering them as embodiments of Lord Krishna. He even offered his obeisances to the flowers, to the trees and land around him. Further on, to keep mundane people from approaching him for material boons, he once resided in the lavatories at the Kulia Dharamshala in Koladip for 6 months. When public officials came offering to build him a proper bhajan kutir, Babaji Maharaj locked himself inside and said he already had one. He believed that associating with materialistic people was much worse than the smell of stool and the latrine. So he was chanting in that toilet. Sometimes he would live under an old broken overturned boat, and sometimes he would scatter fish bones around the place he around a place he occasionally used as his bhajan kutir to make materialists think he was a fish eater, and thus they would not disturb him. So why he was doing that? So that nobody would disturb him in his bhajan. And one day, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj wrapped his body and 2 feet in 2 feet with a cloth and 2 feet with a cloth. Sitting covered like this, he said, many persons, after being informed by others, come here to collect the dust from my feet. I tell them I am not a Vaishnava. So this was his mood. And we see in 1910, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he stopped all the activities of preaching and everything, and he remained in Puri. He absorbed himself in the holy name of Krishna. So what he did, he shut himself up and entered Samadhi, claiming paralysis. So he actually pretended he had paralysis. Why? Because he wanted to be absorbed in the holy name of Krishna. He didn't want any absorption. So this actually happened in 1910, and he left his body in 1914. So just few years before he left his body, he took up that mood. And then we see Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj also, he adopted this mood. It says here in Srimad Bhagavatam, after that, Maharaj Yudhishthir dressed himself in torn clothing, gave up eating all solid foods, voluntarily became dumb, and let his hair hang loose. All this combined to make him look like an urchin or madman with no occupation. He did not depend on his brothers or anything. And just like a deaf man, he had nothing. So Yudhishthir Maharaj, being an emperor, also he adopted this mood of an Avadhuta. And we see that later on, the other four brothers, the Pandavas, they also, by seeing the example of Yudhishthir Maharaj, they also adopted his mood. This is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So we see that Lord Rishabdev, King Yudhishthir, they are being great emperor, and they have affectionate family members. They have affectionate subjects. And it's not easy to renounce, affectionate family members, affectionate subjects who are always ready to execute your orders. We see that when we are in a leadership role, we have difficulty, when people are not listening to us. But here, but still we don't want to leave that position because we are attached to that position. But here we see this great emperor, Rishabdev, King Yudhishthir, their situation was so favorable, but yet, affectionate family members, affectionate subjects, and they were ready to execute their orders, but yet they adopted, they renounced everything, and they adopted the mood of an Avadhuta. Why? And it is not easy to come out of it. It is not easy. So it requires a lot of spiritual strength to actually do that. And no one has forced them to take up Avadhuta Vesh. They have voluntarily chosen this path, and they have actually planned this path. So they have planned this path that they would disguise themselves so that no one recognizes them. Because the moment someone recognizes them, they will be sympathetic, and they will say, okay, what are you doing in this condition? Please go back to your kingdom. you know but the same people who were giving them so much respect, they adored their kings, their emperor. Now they cannot recognize them, and they are actually ill-treating them. So this Avadhuta, in the mood of Avadhuta, Lord Rishabdev, they feel that they have accomplished their goal when people ill-treat them, because they feel happy. They say, yes, I have achieved what I planned for, because they don't want people to recognize them, they don't want people to notice them. So this is their plan, and they're happy about it. Otherwise, it will be hard for them to practice their Krishna consciousness. So why they have taken up the mood of an Avadhuta? Because they don't want anyone to interrupt their absorption in Krishna consciousness. And why do they not get affected by insults? Why they are always happy? Why they're always smiling even people are ill-treating them? So here it's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3.27.26 purport. It says that a devotee whose mind is always fixed upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Atma Rama or Vidita Tattva. Atma Rama means one who rejoices in the self, or one who enjoys in the spiritual atmosphere. So we see another example of a Paramhamsa. The Avadhutas, they have no material needs, no physical needs. Example, eating, sleeping, defending. They only eat just to maintain their body and soul together. And there is a pastime of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Uh, Raghunath Das Goswami, at most, he would sleep 1 or 2 hours, and sometimes even that was not possible. And every 2 or 3 days, he would just drink 1 cup of buttermilk, and the rest of the time he would chant Hare Krishna. Remember the pastimes of Krishna and serve Krishna. One day, Raghunath Das fell sick, and 1 or 2 days passed, 3, maybe 4 days, and he still did not get better. So one of Raghunath Das Goswami's followers called a doctor from Mathura. The doctor took the pulse of Raghunath Das and declared that Raghunath Das was suffering from overeating. So how is that possible? All the devotees protested that he only drinks a small leaf cup of buttermilk every 2 or 3 days. So in every 2 or 3 days, just a cup of buttermilk. That's how he sustained his life. How could he be suffering from overeating? And then Raghunath Das said, no, it is true because the other night there was a big festival in the spiritual world and I ate too much sweet rice. So these great personalities, these Paramhamsas, they in their samadhi, they enter the spiritual world in their Siddha Deha, and they participate in the spiritual pastimes. And the spiritual potency is such that it is also able to nourish our external body. And on another occasion, Sanatan Goswami witnessed Sri Krishna himself was guarding Raghunath Das Goswami from a pair of tigers that had come to drink in Radhakund. And on another occasion, Sanatan Goswami saw Srimati Radharani drenched in transcendental perspiration, smilingly holding her veil to shield Raghunath Das Goswami from the intense afternoon sun. So here Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani, they're giving protection to Sanatan Goswami to Raghunath Das Goswami, because he's so internally absorbed in his bhajan that he doesn't care that he has to defend himself, or he doesn't care about his surroundings. So, considering themselves to be the servant of Srimati Radharani, Sanatan Goswami chastised Raghunath Das Goswami for taking service from their masters. So, Sanatan Goswami witnessed this, and he chastised Raghunath Das Goswami, and he asked him to build a small hut for his protection, and which Raghunath Das Goswami complied with. So these avadhuta, they have not only physical needs, but their physical needs is also fulfilled, but they don't have any psychological needs, the need for getting respect, and they don't have emotional needs, the need to be loved. Why? It is mentioned in the Krishna book. Chapter 32, Krishna returns to the gopis, that mention in the purport that Atma Rama, because they are on the Atma Rama level. And Atma Rama means they are absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they do not care whether one loves them or not. So Lord Krishna is also Atma Rama. And when a pure devotee is fully absorbed in him, so they also come to that stage of Atma Rama. So why they don't care whether one loves them or not? It is mentioned that all these needs are fully served internally because they are fully absorbed in Krishna. The internal potency of the Lord is actually nourishes the devotee of all their needs. So all their needs are fulfilled by the internal potency of the Lord. They don't need anything material. And one point is that an avadhuta cannot become an acharya. As it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 3.21, Yadyat acharati shrishthas tattad eva taro jana sa yat paramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Translation: whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standard he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursue. So, and of Acharya, he has to be careful that he has to act within the social conventions. This is what Srila Prabhupada says about an Acharya, but one who will act as a preacher or spiritual master, even if he is a Paramhamsa, he should live ordinarily so that his disciples may follow. He comes to second stage. So here Prabhupada is talking about second stage, means the Parivrajaka stage. He's in a descending order. So the first stage is Paramhamsa. The Paramhamsa is the first stage and the preacher is in the second stage. So that is the Parivrajaka stage. An acharya is also a paramhamsa, but he comes to the stage of parivrajaka. Why? To teach people by example, just like our Srila Prabhupada. So that's why we when we say in a Prema Dhwani, Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahams Parivrajaka. So he's a Paramahamsa. He's a Paramhamsa, but he's also a Parivrajaka. He has adopted the stage of Parivrajaka so that he can preach to people. And an acharya has the responsibility to follow all social conventions so that people can get the inspiration to follow him. Now we see here that nevertheless, the acharya can also adopt the mood of an avaduta. But rarely this happens. So there is a pastime of Srila Prabhupada, and this narration, this beautifully has been narrated by his personal secretary at that time, his great Shruti Kirti Prabhu. So I'll just go through this narration. The title of this pastime is I Had to Take Bath. I was feeling very tired. And that was in February 8, 1973, Bangkok Airport Transit Lounge. Srila Prabhupada distributed his mercy without distinction. That was the kindness of the pure devotee. On a flight from India to West, we had a 2-hour stopover at Bangkok Airport and had to wait in the transit area. Get my things, Srila Prabhupada told me. I am going to shower. To accomplish this, I had first to locate our luggage, which was being changed from one aeroplane to another. I went to baggage area, opened Srila Prabhupada's bag and grabbed his lota, towel and a fresh change of clothing. After a few minutes, I returned to his divine grace. Where is the bathroom? He asked. We walked together to the bathroom, but unfortunately, there was no bathing facility. Srila Prabhupada was not easily discouraged. For him, there was never an obstacle. We walked together to the bathroom, but unfortunately, there was no bathing facility. Srila Prabhupada was not easily discouraged. For him, there was never an obstacle. Assessing the situation, he turned to me and said, all right, I will take bath from the small sink. After covering his lower body with his gamcha, he poured water over his body again and again and from his lota. He washed his soap and then rinsed again. I watched in amazement as he refreshed himself. He was transcendental to all other activities going on around him. The local Thai attendant watched from a corner of the bathroom. He looked disturbed at seeing the extra work that was being created for him as Prabhupada spilled water all over the floor. I gave Srila Prabhupada a towel when he was finished. He dried himself and dressed in a clean dhoti and kurta. The attendant approached me as we were walking out of the bathroom. Although I had no idea what he was saying, I knew he was complaining. I told the attendant as nicely as I could that I was helpless to stop Srila Prabhupada. Inside, I smiled to myself as I realized the attendant had no idea that he was being benedicted by the grace of Paramahamsa. He was, albeit unknowingly, directly serving Srila Prabhupada by wiping up the spilled water. Srila Prabhupada, I said as we walked out, I think he's little upset. Oh well, Srila Prabhupada replied, laughing mildly. I had to take bath. I was feeling tired. Traveling with Srila Prabhupada was always an incredible adventure. He never felt the need to conform to any social conventions. On aeroplanes, he used the restroom when the seatbelt light was on. He took prasadam when we weren't allowed to have our trays down. If anyone said anything to him, he ignored them. They would then turn to me. I can't stop him. I would say, shrugging my shoulders, they inevitably realized they were no match for a Vaikuntha person and walked away. So this is a very beautiful pastime of Srila Prabhupada, adopting this mood of an Avaduta. So this is from the book, What is the Difficulty by his great Shrutakirti Das. So what do we learn from this? That why Srila Prabhupada did this? Because he was feeling tired, he needed to bath. So for an Acharya, single moment is precious and he cannot lose time in sleeping. And at that time, there was a great need for him, being an Acharya, to spread this movement of Krishna consciousness. So he couldn't lose a moment. And so what happens is that sometimes it is difficult for us to understand the activities of a Paramhamsa because we cannot relate to it. And the tendency is that the tendency of this material world is that we tend to criticize something or someone we don't understand, but we are committing grave offenses. Therefore we have to be very careful, especially among pure devotees. When we are among sannyasis or swamis or gurus, we have to be careful that if something we don't understand, then we don't criticize. Otherwise that's a very risky thing to do. We are we can destroy our bhakti. So the best thing is, if you don't understand something, then you can always go and discuss with your mentor and some senior devotee who can help you to understand from their perspective. So this is the thing. So we have to be very, very careful. And this is the last point. Whatever Lord Rishabh Dev is practicing, this is called Jada Yoga. And the real purpose of Jada Yoga is prasanta karana, or subduing the senses. The whole process of yoga, under whatever heading it may be, is to control the unbridled material senses and thus prepare oneself for self-realization. In this age, specifically, this Jada Yoga cannot be of practical value, but on the other hand, the practice of Bhakti Yoga is feasible because it is just suitable for this age. So this is mentioned by Srila Prabhupada in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2.7.10 purport. So this is what he's saying, that the personalities, great personalities like Lord Rishabh Dev, King Yudhishthir, they could practice this Jada Yoga in that age. But for this age, Bhakti Yoga is practical, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, that has recommended that Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam kalu nasti eva nasti eva nasti gatir anyatha. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way in this age of Kali but to take up Bhakti Yoga, the chanting of the holy name of Lord Hari, that is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So it is difficult and it is not common. It's very difficult. It's impossible for any common man to practice this type of Jada Yoga. So I'd like to end here. And the main point we have to take from this whole presentation is that we cannot imitate an Avaduta, and Avaduta is a qualification. It is not a position, as mentioned by His Holiness Bhakti Din Damodar Maharaj. So thank you so much. I'd like to end here. If anyone would like to add anything or share any realizations, share any insights or any doubts about the presentation, so please feel free. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank
Hare
you very
Krishna
much.
Prabhuji.
Very
Pranam.
nicely and very elaborately, point-wise, you have described the position of an Avadut, and very nicely you have told his position. It is not a position really, it is a qualification one has to achieve. And he is in the highest stage of Sannyasa, the Paramahansa stage. And he was also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. They are called Sthitapagya. Actually, Sthitapagya is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 also. Arjuna was told by Sri Krishna at that stage. I think it is in verse 254. Arjuna has asked Sri Krishna, so what is the, how the Sthitapagya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava sthitadi kim prabhashit kim ashit brajet kim. That means, how do I describe Sthitapagya? That is subsequently given the next verse. And it is told that, in that verse, it is told, next verse, that whatever comes to his I mean, for material people has a desire, but Sthita Prabhu has no desire other than he is satisfied in himself. And he gives up all desire for sense gratification. That is the qualification one has to achieve. It is not a very easy thing. It is very easy to say, but very difficult. But always in our minds, a lot of thoughts are coming when we're in this material world. And lots of these are all sense gratification. I mean, the desire that comes in. But for Sthita Prabhu, he never affected by by this desire for sense gratification. It never comes to his mind. He is completely free from that. So very, very elevated position. And you have given the other thing, the example of Nityananda Nityananda Prabhu, and also other cases. And in all these cases, if we see, we should not try to imitate them because we can follow the essence from what they have done, but we never try to imitate them. It is a great mistake on our part if anybody tried this. Even one cannot even do that. Even in the present age, the situation is so difficult, one cannot even do that. No, but we should never try for that also. But we should learn from them and get their blessings whenever we have an opportunity to get them. And also we should not, you have very nicely told, we have to take the assistance of our senior devotees, even to understand how they are acting instead of criticizing. And we should understand them, and whatever is possible in our life, we should accept it. And in this way, make our life successful in our Krishna consciousness, in our path of Krishna consciousness. And thank you very much for the very nice class you have given. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and realizations. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Ratnalekha Devi Dasi, thank you very
Hare
much
Krishna,
for very
Prabhuji.
elaborate explanation of this verse. So much, what you call PPTs, and very nice explanation. One of the things that really puzzles me that Lord Rishabdev is a supreme personally of God himself, and he instructed his sons in that way. And so, what was the need for him to take this Ahudata position or qualification? He already had all this. He was already Atmarama, and so what is the need for him to come to take that path? And that is a bit puzzling to him because he's already Atmarama. He's already Supreme Lord. So
Yeah, Prabhu, that's a good question. I mean, I'm also thinking on that line. That why did he take that path? It's just, is it to set example for other devotees? I mean, anyone would like to enlighten
yeah,
on this?
I'm also thinking like that. In future, people who want to go that path, he is setting example. Although he is a Supreme Lord, so Supreme Lord also teaches by his own example. So maybe for people in future who want to take that path, the path, maybe he's giving this example. And that's one of the things that struck me when I was pondering on this question. I mean, he's already
Yeah,
Supreme Lord.
he's a supreme lord, and there was no need for him to actually do that. He's not, he's not elevated, just an elevated personality like a pure devotee, but he's the supreme lord. So
Yeah.
there is no need for him to practice the Jada yoga. But yeah, he's doing it. Whatever the supreme lord does, he does it to teach, set example that whoever is following this path of Jada yoga, they have to go through this difficult difficult phase, and it's not easy being an emperor and renouncing everything and not just going to the jungle, but just wandering over the earth, and people are ill-treating you, and you have to tolerate that. So he's teaching. So basically what I can understand is that he's teaching us by his example, the practice of Jada yoga. Anyone has any insights on this, please?
Hare Krishna, Maji,
Hare Krishna,
yes,
Prabhu.
you are quite right. In subsequent verse, it is mentioned that because what Rishabdev is doing, he is the Supreme Lord himself, so he need not have to do all that. But for teaching the people that while in preaching Krishna conscious movement, you will face difficulties, and so he's setting an example how one can deal with that. And this is one thing. And another thing, Mataji, there is a question in the chat box, if you can see that. Hare Krishna.
Can you read the question, Prabhu? For some reason I can't.
Hare Krishna. So you can see it now?
Yeah, thank you for the lesson. I'm a bit confused. Devotee is caring and compassionate towards those around him when Avadhuta doesn't want interact with anyone and only absorbed in his own spiritual life. According to pastimes, we have told they are turning away those who seek for this help, dust from their feet and blessings. Can you explain this? Thank you. Yeah, I mean, because they are in the Paramhamsa stage, they are not in a Parivrajacharya stage where they set um, they set example for others. So the Avadhuta, it is very difficult to understand them because they don't want any disturbance. So in this case of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, mostly the materialists, they were coming and disturbing him. They would get his blessings. Okay, please give me this opulent, give me a good wife, give me, bless me so that I can have wealth. So for an Avadhuta, this is like a disturbance. So they just want to touch my feet and get blessings for some material benediction. So this is actually the case of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, where he didn't like that they would come and just take material benedictions from him, and they think at one place he mentioned that people think that material benedictions are favorable for bhakti. So that is the reason why they are coming to him and disturbing him to give them the blessings. So this is what I understand from your question, Prabhuji, and I hope I have answered it. Anyone else would like to share any insights? Abhicharan, Prabhu, you'd like to say anything? Oh, anyone? Nandvaraj Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yeah, what you said is correct. The Ahudutas and transcendently advanced devotees, they don't want the devotee to get entangled in material life. So somebody comes to them for material things, they feel if they give them that blessing, they'll again go into a cycle of samsara, birth and death. And it will not be a blessing, it will be a curse. So rather to get them entangled, they rather say not give their dust to the feet. Because then the material people might think, oh, I got the benediction, I can get rich, I can enjoy, and then there will be another cycle. So it's a long-term thinking. It's not like short-term, they might have a benefit, but long-term, they're going to suffer. So the very advanced devotees, they say, no, they don't want to give this blessing, so rather cover their feet. And even sometimes some devotees will not get somebody, at least the materials, to touch the Prabhupada feet. They are very holy and they can get all benediction, but their mood is to get some material boon so they can enjoy. And this is not the Siddhanta of the Shastra. So to get them, I think this is the way we can look at this option. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for explaining so nicely. And one thing I remembered is that if a materialist touches your feet, he's actually offloading his sins on your feet. I mean, on you. So you are also getting his karma. So that is one of the reason why they also avoid touching materialist. They avoid materialist touching their feet because they are offloading their sins onto them. So yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, please.
Just a thought, like I was thinking, because they're so advanced, one other reason is because the more advanced they're also very humble. So their humility, they feel, what can I give? I'm nothing, I'm nobody. And that extreme humility might also not for that reason, they don't want to. They say, let me get better. Let me improve myself. Why am I, like, who am I to give them any benediction? That was my thought. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. I just remembered. Thank you for sharing that, because I just remembered that Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj says that I'm not a Vaishnava. So yeah, he says that I'm not a Vaishnava, so don't touch my feet. So that is his humility. He's saying that. So thanks for bringing out that point. Actually, thank you so much. Thank you.
But on the other hand, the Parivakacharyas are very, very merciful. I mean, Srila Prabhupada, there's an incident when Prabhupada was undergoing these challenges, health challenges towards the last pastimes. This one big, it's called the doctor, Vedic doctor came to see him from Bangalore, by air flight, and Prabhupada granted him the admission to see him. And he said, Swamiji, by having your Archa Vigra, even before you pass away, it's not very advisable, because anybody who touches your feet, you will get all the sinful activity. And Prabhupada looked at him and said, this is why I'm here. I mean, just to absorb all of it, living at his karma and elevate them. So he's in that mood. So this is Parivakacharya. Prabhupada was so merciful. He knew that when his Archa Vigra is there in all the temple and people are coming, offering and touching his feet, he's also going to get the sinful reaction. But he can burn them because he's such an advanced. That's his intense, compassionate nature. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for sharing that. Yeah, that's true, Srila Prabhupada. So those Paramhamsa who comes from who are at the Paramhamsa level, but they also come down to the Parivrajaka, yes, they're very merciful. So thank you so much, Prabhu, for sharing that. And Srila Prabhupada has done a lot for us. So thank you so much, Prabhu. So anyone else would like to share anything or add anything? If not, then we will end here.
Yeah, there's not many comments coming up. So we'll end here. Yes.
Yes.
Vanchakalpadruvyascha
Kripa Sindhudeva
नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय
जय
Prabhupada ki jai.
जय
Premanande Hari Hari
हरि हरि बोल
कृष्णा